wish that I could find your love. Without a map, wishing I could take it all and make it like it was. And make you fall in love. And make you fall in love. I wish that I could find your love. Without a map, wishing I could take it all and make it like it was. And make you fall in love. And make you fall in love. And make you fall in love. Take you back to where we first met, the first glance. I wanna make you fall in love. Let's hear it said, give it another turn. See if I can find your love. I'm searching for it, but I don't know where it's at. Feel like we bout to wreck. I can't find your love. No, I don't know where it's at. I wish that I could find your love. I wish that I could find your love. Take it all back, make it like it was. And make you fall in love. Make you fall in love. I wish that I could find your love. Man, wishing I could take it all back and make it like it was. And make you fall in love. I wanna make you fall in love.
Wow. That's sad. That's really sad that we lost a great artist. And I just want to offer my condolences to his friends and family and anyone who's listening and watching that knows him. And may he rest in power.
Salute. Salute Sonny Bass. Yeah. All right.
So we are back. Welcome to the Proof Podcast, the relationship series, episode 2, standards and boundaries and how to implement them. So if you were here last week, you know that I gave a homework assignment. So I'm hoping that you have that with you for this episode. And I'm your host, Natalie, and my co-host, Sion. And we're just so happy to be here and to bring you this wonderful episode. And it is gonna be lit. So I ask that you just get your mind open, okay? Kind of forget some things that you think that you know about standards and boundaries, and just kind of come in this with an open mind and ready for growth.
All right, I'm excited, yo. I'm excited.
You excited?
I'm excited, yo. I'm definitely excited. I've been waiting for it. So now, we're doing the series. I'm definitely excited about today's show.
Yes, yes. This was, I just want to let everybody know that it's a lot. I'm gonna try to break this down as much as possible in easy terms for everybody to understand. If you have questions, comments, please, we love them all. Um, and don't just get right into the conversation. All perspectives are welcome. Um, Much needed and appreciated. I want to thank everyone for coming out again. Hello.
All right, salute, Miss T. Salute.
And I'm glad for y'all to come back. If you were here last week, if you weren't here last week, it's okay. You can jump right on in. So we'll kind of recap. Last week we talked, well, not last week because we skipped a week. But the first episode we talked about the 5 different types of relationships.
Exactly.
And we talked just about the differences, situationship, romantic relationships, dating, casual dating relationships, and so forth. And we just kind of went over an overview about those different types of relationships and where people want to fall, or if they're stuck in something that they don't want to be in. This is where your standards and boundaries really come in to kind of help you regroup. Right. And not only that, it will help you to weed out some unnecessary things that you may not want to deal with. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and kind of just dive right in.
Okay.
So I just want to open up the show by saying we all want healthy relationships. Okay. Right. And so you're going to see me glance over because I got some really good notes, and then some things I'm not going to have to look at, and I'll just be able to speak, freely. But I do want to read the quote that I made for healthy relationships. So healthy relationships are enjoyable. They're respectful, and they provide opportunities for many of us to have positive experiences that also affect healthy self-esteem.
Right.
Okay. We develop healthy relationships with everyone, including like our family, our friends, people that we choose to be in romantic relationships with. Relationships, this is the most important thing that I could tell anyone, is it takes time. This is not an overnight situation. You don't go from dating to relationship and then you're planning 10 years on down the road. Like, you got to kind of be where you are and have goals, but it's always going to take time.
Definitely. Right.
And time is something that proves you can see so many things over time. You get to see the full spectrum over time. Over time, things grow. You get to see it. You get to see consistencies, inconsistencies, and things of that nature. So remember that it takes time.
Right.
And it also takes a lot of care and effort in order for us to maintain a positive, healthy relationship and even to develop that positivity. Because over time, we're going to see maybe things that we don't like. Some things are workable. Some things are not workable. And we can kind of address those things and put care into the situation to kind of reshape and make sure that the relationships are healthy. Okay.
Wow.
So our psychology and our well-being also depend heavily on our ability to form close relationships.
Right.
And I think a lot of people don't look at that. So people that you may know that constantly have a revolving door of relationships, maybe they don't have a lot of close friends, that's really going to affect them psychologically, or they don't have close relationships with their family members. So when you don't have a support system, right, we see how people psychologically, they don't function.
Right. They shut down, become isolated, right, stuff like that. Right.
Right. And it's a very negative kind of outlook on things. So you can kind of tell who has positive relationships and healthy relationships in their life versus someone who doesn't. And I always say, look at that. That is a key thing to kind of look at. See who they talk about. See who's in their circle. See what's going on. How they are about and with those people.
Right.
Because if there seems to be nobody there, what is the reason for that? And then, how do they adjust to when healthy people come into a room? Those are things that you want to look for.
Right.
Right. And our process of developing these close relationships usually begins with the building blocks of our family. So again, if you were here for the trauma series, then you would know we talked about the parent wounds.
Right.
So lack of having that healthy, stable relationship with our parents, and our parents having stable, healthy relationships for us to be able to see them. So they're modeling those relationships for us. They're showing us healthy coping skills. They're showing us healthy communication skills. They're showing us these things because we learn by what we see and not so much of what we hear.
Right.
You know, as children specifically, you know, more because how many times they tell us not to do something, we did it anyway because we wanted to figure it out.
Right.
I need to know why you're saying no, you know.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Right, right.
Right.
So if you have a healthy relationships with your parents, or you saw them model healthy relationships, a lot of times, you know, that is the gluing, bonded foundation of we will always come back to that at some point.
Right.
Because as we get older, you know, we all like to go astray. We got to learn things out the hard way, but we'll never forget the foundation.
That's a fact right there.
So we need that. And so, you know, it teaches us how to have friendships, and then eventually it teaches us how to have romantic relationships. All of these relationships help us to develop interpersonal skills and provide us experiences that assist us in fine-tuning our emotional feelings, basically emotions and feelings. It helps us to fine tune our emotions and feelings. And yes, they are separate, so I shouldn't have combined them together. But it helps us to fine tune those things. Again, with coping skills and good communication, we're able to learn how to fine tune those things. When is this appropriate? When is this not appropriate? So this is the model of what a healthy relationship foundation kind of entails, how
Right.
it builds, how we get there, right? What are your thoughts on that before I move forward? Do you have any?
I mean, I agree with everything you're saying, because without that foundation, it's kind of like a house. Like if you don't have that foundation, as soon as the storm comes or life happens, you know what I mean, it's going to crumble. So it starts, like you said, with the upbringing and stuff like that. It's like how important that is. Whereas like if it was dysfunctional in the house, or it was unconditional, you know, it wasn't genuine love, and that's all you knew, this becomes your norm. So you're operating in the wrong kind of love stuff. You're damaging people. So definitely that foundation and principles definitely needs to be in place like that. And the healthier that is, now you can implement that to other people. So I definitely agree with what you said.
And it is so true. Like we really don't understand how important a healthy foundation is. And though some of us may have not have had healthy foundations in the beginning, doesn't mean that we can't learn to reestablish one for ourselves where we are.
Right.
So we gotta be okay with saying, okay, maybe this wasn't right. Maybe how, you know, I saw things or how things were taught to me, maybe that set me up for failure in certain areas. But now I do understand, you know, what is taking place. This is where I am, and how can I, you know, reestablish a healthy foundation that's going to help me be successful moving forward. And I think the biggest thing that I tell people with that is standards and boundaries are the most important thing in the world to me to have with any kind of relationship in the world. Like I don't care if it's a coworker, if it's a boss, if it's, you know, your friends, you know, significant dating relationships. You still got to have boundaries with your children, standards with them, you know, so it's just that universal thing that just kind of makes the glue of our relationship so much easier.
Right.
And it really helps us to weed out some things that we just don't want to necessarily deal with. And it will save you from having to go through this lengthy process to figure out, oh, well, I probably shouldn't have done it.
Right.
Or, oh, this ain't gonna work out. Like let's cut to the chase with it. And I think that's what your standards and boundaries are really going to do for you if you implement them and do them right. Okay. Now, I know everybody's got their homework assignment. I'm hoping that you do. If you do, just make sure you set it in front of you, because I'm going to start talking about standards. And as we start to go through some of these things, you'll kind of be able to look at your list a little bit and see, yeah, that lines up. Maybe that doesn't. And it's going to be different for everybody. It's not going to be the same. Okay, so I don't want everybody to feel like, you know, there's a right or wrong answer. You'll know if it's a wrong answer based on what I'm saying for you, but it's really not a right or wrong answer. Okay. So standards are ethical principles. Okay. They are ethical principles that we use to navigate our lives. Okay. So it's like a personal code for us that helps us to navigate choices and decisions. And it also helps us to check our intentions.
Right.
It helps us to put our intentions in check. So basically, these are the ideals that we hold the closest to our own hearts. Okay. They determine what is important to us. They effectively help us to direct our motivation and our direction. Right. They are the fundamental foundation of our character. So that says a lot. This is your character that you're putting at the forefront. Okay. Right. And they also dictate what we will and will not tolerate in a relationship. Right. Okay. So healthy relationships between two people are characterized by communication, respect, sharing, and trust. Okay. They are based on the belief that both partners are equal and that the decision making in the relationship is shared equally. Together. Now, some people may believe that. Some people may believe in a head of household. So we don't have to get solely into that, but it's just it's the understanding of that we respect each other, that we can communicate equally, that we can communicate. I respect you, I trust you, and you vice versa me. And this is a safe space that we have created for each other. Right. Okay. So standards, because it is a foundational thing that is personal for us, they set the foundation for any type of relationship. Right. Okay. They help you to obtain what you desire. Wow. That's the key word. They help you to obtain what you desire, right. Rather than just settling because somebody's got a couple of qualities that you like. Oh, okay, he got 1 or 2, girl, or she got 1 or 2. I'm gonna take that and take that to the bank. Right. No, you're not. Don't settle. Don't settle.
Wow, don't settle.
And I'm gonna tell you something. I know people who are older than me, who are single and are still actively very happy and living their best life. Right. And the reason I say best life is because, they got a job, they own a home, they're doing everything that they wanted to do. Now, maybe they haven't met the person that they want to be with yet, but they're not willing to just let anybody into that boat.
Right. Right. Not just filling the void. Like, I'll take anybody at this point. Right.
So you can tell healthy versus desperate. Okay. And I hate to use that word desperate, but really that's what it boils down to.
Right.
Because desperate people go to desperate measures to obtain a goal. I'm willing to settle because I'm afraid that this is going to be harder if I do it by myself, or I got to have somebody because I'm not going to be able to do A, B, C, and D. So you start clinging on to something because of the idea of what it's going to produce, but it's never going to produce what you want it to produce because right. It's really not based on the right things. And if you're really grounded in your standards, you wouldn't end up there. You would trust what your eyes and your ears are telling you and saying, hey, that don't add up.
Right. That ain't right. It ain't right. That girl is poison.
Right. Right. So standards help you to keep you from wasting a whole lot of time.
Right.
A whole lot of time. Let's get that whole lot of time out of there and go ahead and weed this out. Plus, it also saves you from getting your feelings hurt. Because people get their feelings hurt a lot.
Right. You go in with these expectations.
And you know what's crazy? And I'm just going to be honest. And I don't know if everybody else can relate to this, but if you could just put a comment down and say yes or no, like I'd really appreciate it. The people that hurt your feelings when you going through like a dating process or something were people that you had no business dealing with that ain't even on your level in the first place. Would you or would you not agree?
I would agree. Some of them even dodged a few bullets. Like, whoo, I could have got caught up. Yeah, right. I thank God later. Like, I'm glad it didn't work out. I'm glad they didn't. They did me a favor. Like, sometimes they might save your life, even in that situation.
Right. But in that moment, you feel like you're hurt, they hurt your feelings and you feel like you're the best thing since sliced bread or whatever, right?
Right.
But you actually benefit in their lives.
Right.
But because they know that you ain't got it figured out yet. They know you good. But they know that they can flim flam you whichever which way. You usually get hurt by people that really weren't on your level in the first place. That you done lowered yourself down to their level to be with, and now you done got your feelings hurt. If that ain't a reality check for some people, you know, it should be.
Right. Lowering your standards, like you said, lowering your standards, getting desperate. Like, yo, I'm gonna work with them. I can fix them. I can do this. Yo, they good over here. Okay, they got a little problem. We can get past that. You knew better. You knew
No.
better.
No. So this is why, you know, and I look back and I think that this statement is so true because your standards are based on your philosophy.
Right.
See, this is one of those things again where you got to know yourself. Until you know who you are, you ain't gonna have no standards that are gonna be non-negotiable. You're gonna find yourself trying to justify. See it. You're gonna find yourself trying to justify and make excuses as to why you upping the bar, lowering the bar, waving the bar left and right. Because a lot of people who don't have an identity believe that a relationship will give them an identity.
Fine. Right.
What people fail to realize is the relationship is two people coming together who have two different, you know, who have their own individual identities that create a unified identity in the context that it is still two individuals.
Still two.
But the relationship itself cannot be the identifying factor. The two people give the relationship an identity. Not that you're looking for the relationship to give you an identity.
Right.
And those type of people end up in a world of hurt when things crumble because they didn't have an identity in the first place. Because if they had an identity in the first place and they felt comfortable in it, they would have had standards in the first place and they wouldn't have ended up there.
Right.
So it's not a bashing moment, but it is a growing moment.
Right. It's one of those. All right, now I know. Never again. You got me that time. After this show right now, whoever's watching, like, yo, that ain't gonna happen. I might mess up, but it ain't gonna be that way.
It ain't gonna be that way. And you gotta find things that are true and common to you. So when they say, you know, our standards are based off of our philosophies, they are corresponding and interconnected. Everything else can be different between a couple, where they come from, how much money they have, the color of our skin, ages, and interests. But if our standards are in conflict, there will eventually be a philosophical difference that can become immense. They can become an immense obstacle into sustaining the relationship.
Wow.
Prime example, when we talked about it, again, if people follow the trauma series, like I said, I told y'all this was going to be a little lit, so don't get mad at me because I'm probably going to hurt some feelings, but it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this thing because I don't believe in coddling people. And anybody who's ever been a client of mine knows that I don't coddle you. We're going to get to it. Sometimes you just got to be straight with people. No chaser. Everybody don't need a little bit of sugar to take this medicine. Okay. This is why we end up in situations where people are, oh, we've been together 8 years and we ain't been married.
Right.
Your standards were conflicting. They were conflicting. Because had they not have been conflicting, this is something that you would have stated up front.
Right.
And if that man didn't want to get married or that woman didn't want to get married, because there are men that want to get married and there are women that don't.
Right.
But you decided to stay around because you didn't invest in so much time. But what is the point of our standards? So that we can obtain our desires.
Right.
You didn't get your desire met. Now, at this point, 8, 9 years on down the road, they're talking about, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna marry you. It's only because they don't want to hear you. They don't want to hear you fuss no more. Right?
Right. Right.
Because think about it, people that really want to genuinely get married, they have a conversation. Hey, I'm dating because I want to get married. You know what I'm saying? I want to get married. I want to have children. These are my goals. These are the things that I want. Oh, well, I have the same goals in mind. Okay, great.
Right.
Now they propose to you 2 years, 3 years on down the road. That wasn't forced.
Right.
But if you've been with somebody for 8, 9 years and you nagging them to get married, and they still don't know whether or not they want to marry you, what are you doing with your time? And when they do marry you, does it make you feel justified?
Right. All right.
Because you had to basically nag and beg to get something that you shouldn't have had to do.
Right. Let me ask you real quick. Right. Just pause real quick.
Okay.
Right. So is that the same? Right. We're talking about marriage, pressuring somebody into marriage. I want to get married. I want to get married. I want to get married. Can we implement this? You're dating. You don't put me on your social media. You don't. Is that similar? So he finally says, all right, the hell with it. I'm going to put you on my social media. Is it similar or different?
I think when you're just in the dating phase, right, if you are not exclusive with someone, then you don't have the right to put that kind of pressure on somebody. Right. Now, if you're in a committed relationship and that matters to you, your spouse, your significant other would know that matters.
If you did it the right way.
Because you should have already talked about those things.
Right.
It matters to me that people know. Because at the end of the day, people want to feel like their relationship is not a secret. Right. Now, social media shouldn't define the relationship, right?
That's the key.
All of your business about your marriage shouldn't go on your social media. Okay? But it's different to say, hey, I'm married to so-and-so. Right. I'm in a relationship with so-and-so. Because we do know that social media likes to breed inappropriate communication. That's the key word. Right. Because we know that social media can breed inappropriate things. We're in the virtual world, as I like to call it, social media land, virtual world. How many people have met because somebody didn't DM them? So I think we're in a place where it's not inappropriate, but I think it's inappropriate if you got to fight to make it happen.
If you got to fight, right? It shouldn't be forced. It should come natural.
Yeah, it should be like
right.
Hey, can we update our status? I think, hey, I'm let everybody know I got a man. You know what I'm saying? And you mad, and I'm yours, and and it's cool. Right. But if you coming out and you demanding, then that's a problem. Well, you said you was gonna do it, you ain't did it. Why you ain't doing? Who you talking to? If you got to go through all of that, and you got to display your insecurity, because that's what you're basically doing, is you're showing somebody that you have an insecurity. You're wearing that on your sleeve. Wow. They know now what really bothers you, but you shouldn't. But it should be about respect. Again, right. Relationships should have equal and mutual respect.
Edification and stuff like that. I got one more question before we jump back to the marriage while we're here. Right? Okay. We're talking about going public and stuff like that, being demanding, and you were talking about insecurities and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I have a couple friends that have been in situations, the same situation, where it's like they may be dating, they may be getting to know a person, but they kind of might be on the fence, like, I don't know if she's the one, or I don't know if I can deal with certain things. So they're still in the filling out stage, right? Okay. So now she's saying, let's go public. He's not sure if he's ready to invest in this. Like, yo, I'm seeing some warning signs. I'm not sure yet. So now, because you didn't update it, right? So you may be out at dinner. Y'all might be watching a movie. Now they go live and they want to put you on camera. I've seen people actually look at the camera and say, yo, cut that off. Why are you filming? What do you think about that? Like, what's that?
So I think when people are dating, right, for some people, the process is different. Okay. So I think you need to know when you feel comfortable to make it known that you're in a relationship. Right. So for some people, it may be, hey, I'd like to, we keep seeing each other, couple of months, before I'm ready to put a title on this thing. I think that's different for everybody. But again, everybody's timeline isn't everybody else's timeline either, because we live in a microwavable society today. Right. People feel like, oh, well, we went out for a week, so we in a relationship. No, we not. No, we not. But think about it. That's this generation. Right. That's this generation. Right. This generation, yeah, boom. Look, this generation will go out with someone for a week, 2 weeks. Now they done had sex. As soon as they had sex, they feel like that solidifies the relationship. Right. It doesn't. It doesn't. You didn't have the conversation with that person about what their timeline looked like. I think it's okay to say, hey, I want to date you for a couple of months and really, feel this thing out before I'm ready to give you a title. If they're not ready to do that, then that's a red flag that you need to run. Because why are you rushing me to get into a relationship with you? Right. I'm a firm believer. The girl asked me about the 90-day rule, and right. I said, I really don't believe in the 90-day rule. The reason I don't agree with the 90-day rule is because I don't agree with you giving yourself a timeline for when you're going to be intimate with someone. That is something that you have to choose that you're appropriate with and you can deal with and live with based on the consequences and the outcome of whatever that's going to breed, whether it be good or bad. Right. But I think giving your body to somebody should be a conscious decision where you know that this person is going to respect you, this person is going to care for you, and that you're willing to do that knowing that it's going to breed something positive versus let me throw it out there and see if I can stick you, right. If I can hook you. And that's a problem. And both men and women play that game. And that game is dangerous.
Very dangerous.
So don't go sleeping with nobody and then expect them to be like, oh, we in a relationship. How? I don't even know you. If you don't know somebody, you don't have no right giving nobody your body. Then I'm going to leave it there. Okay? But no. We got to do better with that. And communication is the biggest thing. You cannot assume that somebody's timeline is your timeline. And you would know that if you had standards and were asking the right questions.
And doing it the right way. Correct.
So expectations versus standards. Okay. So we're going to kind of get into, and we'll get into the next one. Once we get into the next one, we'll start talking about what the standard list should start to look a little bit like. Okay. Expectations entertain certain ideas about how we would like situations to turn out, right. Or how we would like other people to behave. An example of an expectation could be that I expect the person that I'm dating to communicate with me every day throughout the day. That's an expectation, and that is not realistic. Just kind of like what you were saying. Right. You don't post it, we out here, we don't know. Baby can't talk to you every day, all day. Baby got a job. Right. Baby got stuff to do.
That's a fact, though. But it can be both ways.
For me. That's a red flag for me. You better run. That means they ain't got nothing else going on but you, and you are the center of the universe. And when the center of the universe decides to want to pull away, that's how you get into danger, stalking, stuff like that. It just gets crazy. Red flag.
You just said a powerful thing.
But I get that it's an expectation. Or it could be an expectation that, hey, if you could call me at least 2-3 times a day. That's an expectation. You can want that. Right. But you ain't going to get it. Standards are not expectations. And people really got to understand the difference with that. And I think a lot of times in today's generation and even my generation, you see a lot of that where they don't understand that. Right. They don't understand the difference. And that's what's causing a lot of hangups. So standards are a set of guidelines or ideas about how you will conduct yourself. For example, I set the standard that I always let a friend know where a first date is taking place. Wow. So that I have a way home in case I get uncomfortable on my date. That is a standard I've set for myself. That's a standard. Or even if it's not that, it could be, on my first 3-4 dates, I drive myself to the date.
Right.
I meet you. We meet at the designated place. You never break that rule. That never changes, no matter how many dates, how many people you dated. You've been consistent with that very thing. That is a standard.
Wow.
I'm not comfortable with you coming to my house.
Right.
And I won't go out with you a couple times for you pull up over here to take me out anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's the standard. That is a standard. So we talked about the homework assignment, right? We talked about that. So if you got your homework assignment and you was here last week, go look down there and look at it.
All right.
Think about what you got on there. And think about who you are as a person and what your character is like. Your standards should be, i.e., a little something like this. I'm going to give you the basic ones that should be up there, okay? The rest of it, I'll kind of walk you through.
Okay.
But if you have children, it should be, they must like children, or she must like children, or he must like children.
Right.
If you want to get married, wants to get married, must be honest.
Right.
Must be willing to be in a monogamous relationship,
right.
If that's important to you, right? Must have a spiritual belief in God or Christ, if that's important to you. So you get where I'm going with this? These are not wish list ideas. These are expectations. Now you could say, for some people, ambition is a big thing. So you could, if ambition is a big thing, you might want to say, must be ambitious, must have a job, must be goal oriented. For guys who, it may be, she's got to be clean. Cleanliness for and I laugh when I say that, because I think about my grandmother's generation, right? And I think about how I was raised. So one of the things, I started cooking in my household when I was like 6 years old.
Right.
My grandmother had a catering business with my aunt, and my mother would help out from time to time. And my grandmother would come home sometimes with like 10 5-gallon buckets, and then she'd sit there and have to peel all these potatoes. She'd let me, peel potatoes at 6.
Listen.
Must be a good listener, right?
Thanks.
That's important. That is so very important in a relationship, because I need you to be able to not just hear me, but to listen to me and understand what I'm telling you, so that we can actively communicate. But I know for me, I've heard guys say, I want her to be able to cook. I want her to be able to clean. That is something that's going to be rooted in her foundation.
Right.
It's not, I'm not saying that what's up, Rob? I'm not saying that that's something that, you can't, that's a wish list, but you could just ask that she may have some older, older foundations about her, as far as womanhood and what that looks like to be a nurturer.
Right.
And that's okay. For men to say, I want a woman that's a nurturer, that's really in tune with, her femininity. But the standards don't waver. They don't change. These are non-negotiable. And that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. This is not your wish list. Now, you just said on your standards list, hey, he or she needs to have a job. They need to be goal oriented. It may not necessarily be that they have a job. It may be that, if they're not working, that he or she's actively attending school. It shows you that they have an ambition for their personal growth, is what that shows you.
Right.
Now, on your wish list, you could put, I want them to make, 6 figures, and I want to be on the yacht, and I want her to have hair that fall down to her tail and be real, and I want, him to, be 6'5", and you can wish list all you want to.
Right.
But the reality is, if you do your standards right, when you meet someone that actually is qualified for what's in front of you, you're not going to care about the wish list.
Right.
The wish list is a compensation for you to try to get something because you're not getting everything else that you want. So you think that if you marry somebody or with somebody that's got 6 figures or they super duper fine, that it's going to justify all the other shortcomings of things that you're not getting. When in reality, it doesn't fix it.
Right.
It's like a band-aid. It's temporary, baby. It don't work. And people get mad at me when I bring this up, but I'm gonna bring it up anyway.
And drop it. Keep it real.
So let's look at people that we know that are married. Okay. And the only people that I can think about that I know that are married are celebrity people that everybody else can relate to.
Right.
On one episode, I brought up Tiny and T.I. This is a perfect example of a very unhealthy marriage with two people who have decided to be together and stay together for all the wrong reasons.
Wow.
And there's a lot of codependency there that is very unhealthy. So it goes to show you. Now, I don't know if it's financial for Tiny. I think that, Escape probably did well. I don't know what the numbers is looking like for them. But my point is that Tiny is constantly trying to change herself to be what he likes. Every time he's publicly with somebody else, next thing you know, she's doing something else to her body. She can't get no lighter. Okay, she just can't. And she was already, she wasn't like super duper light, but she wasn't super duper darky.
Right.
But we know she done gotten lighter. You done went overseas somewhere and then dyed the pigmentation of your dang on eyes.
Right.
That's not somebody that's happy and healthy in their current skin. Now, I'm not saying that we as women don't like to accessorize. You want to change your hairstyle. That's why a lot of women wear wigs. It's the easiest way to change your hairstyle without having to cut off or damage or dye or whatever to your hair. I can accept that.
Right.
Women do like to wear makeup. I think as long as it's not 5 pounds worth and it doesn't alter your entire, look, you're just enhancing what you already have.
Right.
But I think anytime you have to go through something to constantly try to be something that he likes, it lets me know that there's a lack of respect there. There's a lack of real depth in their relationship somewhere that they're not connecting on. Because they're the ones that'll take all that drama to social media and everybody like, oh, y'all need to break up. But then turn around and then get back together and then she cussing everybody else out for calling him a dog.
I say that every day on Facebook.
But they've been together so long,
right.
This has become familiar. It's not healthy. So it just goes to show you that just because people are married for long term, 10, 20, doesn't mean that it's healthy.
Right.
So you got to be careful of who you're looking at to be, oh, well, they married, they doing it. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors all the time. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people that are married that are just like, I'm here and I don't even know how to get out. Or if I get out, what is my life going to be like? Right. So the goal is not to get yourself in a situation where you got to be there.
Healthy relationship. You're happy. You're actually loving and caring, and the kids are seeing healthiness. Because if they seeing it's damage for y'all, the kids seeing that becomes their norm. Right.
Right, because their foundation isn't being set.
It's definitely facts.
Marriage is hard.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is the hardest thing on the planet to do.
Right.
Because it is. See, people think that this whole ideology about, oh, well, you just fell in love. You didn't just fall in love. You open yourself up to that. And you make the conscious choice to love somebody every day. Because love is a choice. God chooses to love us when we sin and we ain't living our best life. We ain't doing what he wants us to do. He love us anyway. The Bible never said just because people gonna go to hell, then some people going to hell. I'm sorry, I had to throw it out there. But some people going to hell. And God didn't say just because he was going to punish you for your life, for your deeds and your dues on this earth. It didn't say that he doesn't love you. Right. So that's love in marriage is one of those things that you got to choose to do. Marriage can be a lot of fun, but it can be a lot of work. Right. But it is a conscious effort, but you have to remain true to yourself. And when you're true to yourself, you can't go wrong.
Right. True to yourself.
So that's why when we look at these standards, they're non-negotiable and they shouldn't be wavering. And the reason they shouldn't be wavering is because they should be true to you. If you have not done a standard list and you are going to be a part of this series, you need to go ahead and do you one, because I'm telling you, by the end of the series, all your homework assignments are going to add up. And that's going to be like your little reference guide that is going to be there for you to always be able to reference. And like, you know what? I need to do this. I got this and that. I got that on that. Because sometimes we need to work on building a new habit, especially for those who haven't had, a whole lot of standards or boundaries going on in their life right now. And they just are trying to really get, their foundation rebuilt.
Right.
You're going to have to practice that and put that into action. Okay. So the consequences of lowering standards. When we lower our standards for a partner, we often do it without realizing it most of the time before it's too late.
Right.
Women often lower their standards more than men, and do so because they feel that they feel like no man can ever measure up to the standards that they already have or all the rules in their book.
Right.
So this is where I challenge the women. Check and make sure that you have realistic, tangible standards, and don't confuse them with your expectations or wish list.
Right.
Okay? Because if you do, you're going to feel like, oh, I need to drop this over here and I need to drop that over here because he can't measure up to this and he ain't going to measure up to that. But then you never get what it is that you really desire. We endlessly search for the pros in a relationship or whom we're dating to erase a lot of the red flags. We talked about this, just a little bit ago. Right. Oh, well, he got this and he got that. It could be, oh, well, he owned a home and, he got a good job. But maybe, he got 7 baby mamas. Maybe he got a criminal record.
Right.
Maybe, he's got a substance abuse issue. Right. And what do these other factors look like? Adding up. The house and a good job is great. Shows he's got stability, which is great. But what about these 7 baby mamas? And what are their relationships like with him? And then what does that look like moving forward for you? Right. What does his substance abuse problem look like? Who does he turn into when he drinks? Is he violent? Same thing for women. Is she violent? What has she got, 4 or 5 different baby daddies? Right. What are her relationships like with them? Because this is all stuff that you're going to eventually want to take on. If you see to want to do that, you need to be able to look at the whole thing. Don't just look at, oh, she fine and he fine and they sex is great and, they got 2-3 things popping and it's all good. Right? Because it ain't all good. Right. Believe people when they show you who they are. Exactly. Believe them. Right. So don't discard no red flags. Discarding red flags of someone that we're dating opens the door for disrespect. Disrespect. And once a person can start disrespecting you and feel comfortable doing it, they begin to believe, oh, you okay with this kind of treatment, so there ain't no need for me to treat you any other kind of way. I ain't got to treat you no different.
Right.
If I can call you out your name and I can disrespect you, come through the door whenever I want to, or if they're dating, I can said I'm gonna go out with you this week and then I'm gonna cancel with you on the last minute, or don't show up, or don't answer my phone, or don't talk to you,
Right. Ghost.
or call you when I feel like it.
Right.
And expect you to come through when they do.
Right.
If he or she can already disrespect you, baby, you done lost the battle. It's over.
Right. Right now.
Key point. People only do what you allow them to do.
Right.
She hit the nail on the head with that.
That's a fact, though.
So if your standards are in place, you're not gonna let nobody do that to you.
Right.
Because the minute somebody does something that's out of pocket, you're gonna be like, you know what? It's too early in the game for that.
Right.
Got the guy.
You tripping. Yeah, you done went too far.
If you tell me, look, I used to tell the story now. I've told the story before. 6 o'clock.
Right.
You ain't there.
It's over.
It's a wrap.
6:05.
If you ain't in the hospital, you ain't told nobody you running late because you got a legitimate, not fooling with you.
6:05.
For what?
5 minutes.
Standard. My daddy taught me that.
That's the standard. That's facts, right there.
And back then you had to pull up, and back then you didn't get to blow no horn. You had to get out. You had to knock on somebody's door.
Right. Get permission. Right. Have that uncomfortable talk. So what's your plans with my daughter?
We doing too much Netflix and chilling. Cut that Netflix and chilling out. That's not a date. Right. Don't even let that be the folk. Don't even let nobody talk you into that. Because first of all, if he can't take you out on no date, baby, he ain't got no money for that. Then he don't need to be dating. Because he's not ready to take on the responsibility of what's going to go beyond that. What's going to go beyond that? Right. No, can't get 5 minutes. Can't get 5 minutes. You got to let somebody know.
You better be there 5 minutes early. That's what I heard. 5 minutes on time is late. You better be there 5 minutes early.
What it's about is it's about the conscious decision to say, hey, I'm running late, and this is why I'm running late, and let me go ahead and let you know I'm running late. See, back then it was about communication. Right. Now today people don't feel that they have to communicate. Because we've changed how we allow things to take place in society. See, society is all about social norms. It's what becomes normalized by what people seem to allow. So now it's, when our first date, we gonna Netflix and chill. You gonna come over, I'm gonna cook for you, or we gonna go get something to eat. We gonna watch this movie. No, we not. For what? I can do that at the house.
That's real though, but that's it. That's it. The standard is the standard is down. And it's like, yeah, it's crazy.
But the crazy thing about it is though, if everybody would start to increase their standards,
it would have to change.
The societal norm would change in itself, because people innately want to be with someone else. Right. We are a social world. Everybody needs to socialize and interaction of humans. Right. How many of us women will get on our friends about stuff? Men will get on their friends about stuff. Right. We hold our friendships to a standard, but we don't want to hold the relationships that we want to have that are on a more intimate level with the opposite sex. Right. to that standard. And we don't want to be upfront about what we want. See, you can't lower your standards if your standards are already addressed. And they're going to get addressed when you go into a natural dating environment. Right. And we've talked about that. Dating doesn't always have to be at night going to dinner. First of all, movie dates out the question. That shouldn't even be within your first 2-week dating.
Wow.
It shouldn't.
Candyman just came out. You ruining it for me right now.
I'm going to tell you why. Because you're not going to do no talking. You want to weed out this person early if they ain't for you. You want to weed them out early. Right. So for me to weed you out early, I need to put ourselves in an environment that's going to create a nostalgic for us to talk. For a booty call, tell them, Tamika.
Bingo.
I got it right. Did I get it right? Is it Tramika?
Tramika.
Did I say that right?
Salute to Tramika. Yeah, Tramika.
Okay. I will make sure I said it right, girl. I don't want talking about the name of her.
Yeah, but that's real though. You speaking facts right there.
But you need to go out into public, i.e., coffee shops. You know, there's nothing wrong with going and like doing putt or bowling or something that's gonna be fun. That's gonna allow you to have communication and conversation.
What about Wii Sports? Wii Sports?
No.
No Wii
We
Sports.
ain't doing no Wii games. We're not doing no Wii games at the house. We're not doing no Wii games at the house. We're not going to the house. We're not going to the house, Sion. And y'all don't need to be going to the house. This goes both ways.
Right. Nah, you know I gotta play the devil's advocate.
Don't get yourself for something you ain't even trying to do. Right. But I'm gonna tell you something else though too. And this is just real because she did make a statement. You know, they want you to come over for Netflix and chill. That ain't nothing but a booty call. Honey, people that's trying to sleep with people too quickly, that's a red flag. I don't think that nobody should be coming over nobody's house too soon. See, you got to understand. Your house is your place of peace. This is your sanctuary. He is, and he is, honey. But your house is your place of peace.
Right.
This is your sanctuary. Right. It should be an honor for somebody to come through your door.
An honor.
Because you're inviting another energy, another person into your space or going into theirs.
Right.
You gotta cut off that gap for any kind of unnecessary temptation. First of all, we should have self-control. But we should cut off that. Because some people ain't been on dates in a long time. Some people ain't even been around or had no interaction with people, you know, in that kind of way.
Right. So
they can get over there, the energy right. You just had a couple little drinks, you know, the lighting perfect. You like, well, if I could just get me one right quick. If I could just get me one right quick. Look.
It's facts, though. It's a fact.
We're not going to get that hot one. Because anybody that wants to rush to sleep with you, it's a problem. Right. Because you ain't the only one that didn't rush to sleep with.
Patterns.
You know what I'm saying? And you don't know what kind of soul ties they've created on another level. And now you introducing yourself into all those soul ties. Because I'm gonna tell you what, a lot of people out here, and I believe it, and I'm just gonna leave it at this. I got single friends. I done heard how I go down. A lot of people got some great ish out here, but ain't got nothing else going on. And that issue's gonna have you tied up, messed up emotionally and mentally. Right. And then all these standards go out the dang on window. Right. Because you wrapped up in what you think that you feel. But you really don't know what you feel. Because you don't know this person to feel no kind of way.
Caught up in the mysterious. You caught up in the mysterious thing about it. It's like spontaneous, it's new, it's fresh. You caught up in that new car smell.
But see, we've talked about sex.
Right.
If sex is a God-given thing, and we know the power of it, what make you think you immune to that? Right. You can't just be out here willy-nilly with your stuff. So you shouldn't be putting yourself in a situation where you go into nobody's house. And like I said, you should have a standard rule about how many dates that you feel, you know what I'm saying? You should have a standard rule about how many dates you think that you should have.
That's a fact right there.
It don't mean it's right, but it don't. That's a fact. But the problem with it is that we're rushing. Right, no, man. And it's not meant to be played with. Right. But see, the problem is, and I've noticed this, and I've heard people tell me stories, you know, like people that's trying to rush to sleep with you too quick. They trying to put that thing on you so they can lock you in so that it blinds you to everything else.
Right.
Because if I got you locked in and you wide open, I'm tapping because you tapping into something completely different. Right. Now your mind ain't even working right. You know what I'm saying? You ain't thinking straight.
Right.
You over here in that field. Everything about your standards, you ain't even talked about it.
Right.
You try to talk about it after the fact. Like, look, we in a relationship, but what's that? We together.
Right.
Now you trying to rush because you trying to get into that thing. So don't be that person.
Right.
Please don't be that person. So if your standards is there, we shouldn't be going to nobody's house for at least the first 2 weeks.
Right.
And if he can't date you consistently, and look, I'm not saying y'all got to spend a whole bunch of money to go out on dates. Like I said, you can go bowling. You can go catch lunch on the weekends. You know what I'm saying? You go putt-putting. You know, maybe, hey, if somebody likes to read, y'all can go, you know, maybe go to a library, check out some books or something. Just, you know, share similar interests, coffee shops.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Walks in the park. The goal is to communicate, hear what each other wants, feel that energy out. Are they consistent on time when it's time to go out on date night? You know, are they consistent? You know what I'm saying? Are they meeting you up consistently? If they not, is they calling? Do they have a legitimate reason?
Let me ask you a
You
question.
know,
What if they say they want to go to church for a date? They want to go to your church.
That's dope.
It's dope.
I think that's dope.
All right, dope.
Because they let you know that they're spiritual.
Right.
And now they want to kind of figure out, you know, where you at with your spirituality, and do you guys share the same faith? And temptation is a beast.
Right.
And that's why you got to do this thing, and you got to know where you weak at. You got to know your weakness before anybody else needs to know.
Right.
And you don't need to give nobody no gateway or no door opener to it.
Ooh. All right. That could
Right.
also be a front.
Right. But that's why for things to be a front, you're going to weed that out.
Right. Because it ain't going to be consistent over it.
It ain't going to be consistent. You know, some people, usually when they first start dating, they might want to see each other like the first date. Then the next time it might be like,
oh, man. Everything
it
new
does.
to me.
And that's why I say, you know, it's got to be something that two people are really ready for. You got to feel really comfortable with a person and trust a person. And that's why I don't believe in a 90-day rule. For some people, it could take 6 months. For some people, it may be when they get married.
Right.
Because people have already done it wrong. Why they going to continue to do it wrong? Because if somebody really about you and y'all are really on the same page. Because here's the thing. If they standards and your standards is lining up, you good.
Right.
You good. So there ain't gonna be no pressure there.
Right.
But usually when somebody over here ain't got no substance for you, hear my words, no substance for you.
Right.
Sex is going to be the substance that they come to offer.
Right.
Because they have nothing else to give you.
Right.
Be careful of that. So when you see somebody doing it, you'll know it's a red flag and you'll just know to run. Don't even worry about it. We ain't even. And if you go on one date and you don't like that person and they ain't talking about nothing and it's boom, child, you know, I sure appreciate it. It was fun, but this just ain't gonna work out.
Right.
You ain't got to tell them that on the first date.
Right.
Shoot, you can do that when you get to the house over a text message, probably.
See, now that's the thing. I tell people that all the time. It's like people always want to keep it real. Sometimes keeping it real goes wrong. Get home, get somewhere safe first. Ladies,
Right.
this for ladies. Before you wild out, before you say what you really mean, make sure you get to a safe location, and then you tell them, yo, you'll never get another date. Yo, are you serious? You can't do that right there, because sometimes they may have mental issues. They may be abusive. They may get physical. So wait, ladies, make sure you get somewhere safe first. Then you talk the trash. That's like you be riding with somebody, and you say, this ain't going to work out. So now, okay, but then
you're
still going to take me home. You're still going to take me home. So now that awkward ride. You know how people ever been through those awkward ride where it's like, y'all get into it. This ain't gonna work, but y'all riding together. Now you got to ride home in silent. He cuts up the radio. Can't wait to get out my car. She can't wait to get out the car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Standards.
Yes, I'm sorry, y'all. I got a little bougie. bougie boo that don't want to, he don't want to act right. You want to say hi, Boom? You going to say hi? I'm going to show him off right quick. Say hi. That's my baby right there, y'all.
All right.
I know some people, I know some black folks are scared of cats. I ain't even going to get on y'all about that today. I know some, they don't fool with it.
Right.
But no, that's another reason why you don't need to be in nobody ride.
Right.
You don't need to be in nobody ride. And you should always let somebody know where you going when you dating.
Right.
Hey, but you got to let somebody know.
Right.
Let somebody know where you're going. Hey, girl, I'm going out with such and such, and we going to such and such. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And just do it the right way. I'm telling you, it will save you so much drama. It will save you so much drama in the long run, just if you do it the right way.
Right.
So we've talked about
Standards.
the disrespect, right? Because and this is a thing. It is imperative, and I'm gonna say it again. It is imperative that your standards never ever waver, that they are negotiable. And once you have accepted this, once you've accepted the disrespect, it don't go back. You know what I'm saying? You've allowed the disrespect. They will see that you lack consistency in what you say and what you mean, also versus what you say and what you do. Right. And because of that, it never improves. Oh, I want to wait until I'm married to have sex, but then you turn around and you sleep with them. No, she don't mean what she say. You know, she said, you know, we got to go out, for about a month, meet up on dates, for about a month before, you know what I'm saying, I can come to her house, but then I came to her house on the first day. Like, she don't mean what she say.
Mind control like Debo on. I got mind control on. She say
because
that she
people are always looking for you to say what you mean and mean what you say and do what it is that you say you're gonna do.
Right.
And the minute that you don't, it's just like children. Anybody in here who got kids? No. Boy, you waver a little bit with something. What's that?
That's it.
They own go with it. Like, oh, you said I could stay up late this one time. Well, this one time then turned into Tuesday night, Thursday night, Friday night. You know what I'm saying? You're like, wait a minute.
Right. That's all it takes.
She got an A, so I just thought I'd give you an extra 30 minutes. You done took it and ran. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same way. Grown-ups are just like children in the same regard. Okay? They're going to do you the same way. So you got to maintain consistency. It is very, very important that you maintain consistency.
Right.
And so if you lower your standards, it may seem easier to find that person that you're looking for. But it'll never really show you if that person is right for you until you realize that you're not happy and you're not satisfied with the relationship because you're never getting what it is that you want.
Right.
Which in turn shows me that you're not being real with yourself. And I'm gonna say this, and then I'll highlight, and then we'll move on to the second part of the show. And I apologize. I just want to apologize for everybody today because I know we started a little late. So if you can just bear with me a little longer, we will get through this thing. And I just really want y'all to get this information. You got to be real with yourself. I have seen and I have had and I have known people, clients, just people in my life that I know, period. Look, stop making excuses and justifying for why you in a jacked up situation. Because the truth is always in the middle and I hear it. And I tell people that. Like if you talk to me and just to let everybody know, I'm open for discussion. You can always hit me up on Facebook. Next week I'll have some additional information on where you can reach me at. But I tell people all the time, I hear the truth in the middle. Because I know people that'll do a lot of back and forth. When you doing a lot of back and forth, it lets me know that when you talking to me, but you're talking to me to convince yourself. It's like you got to say it out loud so many times to be like, yeah, this is it. This is it. This is it. Yeah, this was going on, but now we here. And look, don't justify it to me. I ain't got to live it. I'm good.
Right.
But if you got to find yourself justifying behavior to people, that ain't where you want to be. Okay. So ensure that your standards are in place. Make sure you looked at your list when we went over some of those and really just do the work on that. If it can be tweaked after the night, tweak it. Right. Because it's based off of your belief system, your foundation, your morals, your values, what it is that you really desire from a relationship. I.e., marriage, kids, them to be spiritual. What kind of religion? If you have a different kind of religion, what religion is it? You know what I'm saying? If they drink, I prefer to be with someone who's a social drinker. I prefer to be with, he or she can't be a drinker. I've heard some men say smoking cigarettes is a deal breaker for them. Wow. So everybody has something that they, you know what I'm saying, that they just you got to bring those. And then when you start dating, start having those conversations. I didn't say you got to dump it all on them on day one. Right. But bring up some of those things. Every date you should be bringing those up. And then, after, I would say after about the first 4 or 5 dates that you done had, you should have kind of got some of that out the way. And now you should be able to see consistency and see if they're measuring up to those things that you talked about. Start looking to see those signs about, hey, all right, he going to church. He asking me to pray at night with him on the phone, say a good word, or hey, did you pray today? Or he's sending me motivationals. This is really important to you. He's already willing to pour into you the consistency, or she, that you're looking for in certain aspects of your standards. So that's my thing with that. Puma, I need you to cut it out.
I got a quick question about the homework, right? Because
yes.
on my side, I got 4 questions that in my assignment. How many questions is in the assignment?
Okay, so what I have is I got it's 4, but I'm gonna break it down for you.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'll break it down for you.
Gotcha. Okay.
So again, we kind of went through it. I'm gonna just say it again. We're gonna stop jumping headfirst into relationships. Right. We're done with that. Okay, we're done with jumping headfirst into relationships or acting like we together and we ain't together. Right. Stop getting into situationships. That's done. We're done with that moving forward. Right. And we're not gonna let nobody hurt us because we're gonna hold true to our standards. So our standards is gonna keep us from getting hurt. Okay. And we're also not going to make excuses for people that hurt us. So if somebody does something that's inappropriate to you off the rip, out the gate, first couple of dates, we done with that. Be done with him or her. Be done with them and keep it pushing. Don't look for justification. Don't try to let them give you an excuse as to why that happened. And we're not doing that. Okay? You got to be willing to cut ties and cut people off when it's time to cut them off. Don't try to keep people around that don't deserve to be around. Okay. I'm not going to go over that homework assignment just yet. Okay. I can, if y'all want to take this part down. This is just a really good recap for y'all. Get out of there. If you want to do a really good recap. So what does your standard list say about you? I want you to write that, either write it down or you can come back and listen to it, however you want to do it. What does your standard list say about you? Are they true to your foundation? Are they true to your foundation, your beliefs, your morals? So I'm just kind of making that as a whole, okay? And can you implement your standards without wavering? If you have yeses, if you have yeses to all of those last 3, because when I ask you what does your standard list say about you, I'm asking you, is it true to you? If the answer is no, then you need to go back and you need to do some work. But if the answer is yes, then we're asking, are they true to what you believe, your morals, your values? Can you be consistent in implementing them without wavering? That means, can you do this? Can you, boy, you about to get beat up tonight. Can you implement them without wavering? That means, hey, we're not lowering no standards. We're not giving no excuses. We're not gonna let you slide on this one over here, but I'm gonna hold you to the rest of them. No. If you can do all of that without wavering and being true to yourself, then you're on the right path. If you're not, then you need to revamp that. And if you're having issues with revamping it, reach out to me. We can talk about it. Okay.
All right.
So our second part of this is the boundaries. Okay.
Boundaries.
So setting good boundaries is critical to creating healthy relationships, increasing your self-esteem, reducing your stress, your anxiety and or depression.
Right.
Boundaries protect your personal self by setting a clear line between what is me and what is not me. A lack of boundaries opens the doors for others to determine your thoughts, your feelings, and your needs. Defining boundaries is a process of determining what behavior you will accept from others and what you will not. Okay. So boundaries and standards go together because they share a lot of commonality. But what the boundaries really does is it really reinforces those standards. Okay. So we're going to talk about 5 types of boundaries in a relationship. And the first one is the physical. So we were just kind of having this conversation about all this sexual stuff and all of that, right? But physical in this regard doesn't really cover the sexual. Okay. What physical covers is it does cover your body, your privacy, and your personal space. You might enjoy public displays of affection, or you may be uncomfortable with it. Some people are, I know people that have been married or in long-term relationships who just don't like PDA. They don't feel like that's for the world to see. Then you got other people who are like, hey, you can lay it on me. And we've all seen people like this slapping each other down. Sometimes it gets a little too, it gets a little too much.
A little too much.
But this is a boundary for people. So you have to share your preferences and what you feel or your standard around that.
Right.
But some people are afraid to share these kind of things, but then they'll let themselves feel disrespected. So you really got to be able to communicate. You really got to be able to communicate this and say, you know what? I'm okay with, a little smooching here and there, but I'm not cool with slobbing me down in front of, out in public. Right. This is something that I don't like. Or I don't like, nobody slapping my butt. Or, some women slap their man's booty every once in a while. He might be like, hey, you do that behind closed door. We ain't going to do that in the house. You know what I'm saying? Right. Ain't going to play with all of that. Because some men don't even want their butts touched. You know what I'm saying?
Now you're going too far. That's it.
Right. So you got to figure out. What your physical boundaries are. And then what's your personal space boundary look like?
Right.
And not be afraid. Go ahead.
Now I was going to say, if we got boundaries, right? But if you don't communicate your boundaries, right? That becomes expectations then at that point, right?
Yes. Okay. Because you're expecting somebody to do it, but they don't know always what it is that they want to, because we're not mind readers. Right. See, a lot of times people are afraid to communicate certain things because they're afraid of how people are going to respond to those things. People are afraid that people are going to leave or walk away. And my thing is, good. It did what it was supposed to do. Right. Instead of somebody lingering around for 2-3 months longer than they should have been lingering around in the first place. Right. So, but this lets people know who you are. See, your boundaries they really speak true to the standards, because it really lets who you are kind of shine through. Right. We have boundaries in every relationship. We got boundaries with our kids. We got boundaries with our coworkers. You know, some people I got a boundary. You know, when we at work, we talk about work.
Right.
I don't do none of that personal stuff at work.
Right.
Not doing that with you.
No,
You know what I'm
fact.
saying?
That's a fact.
So you gotta be on your stuff about what it is that you mean. You gotta not be afraid to tell people.
Right. So let me ask.
So
Let me ask one thing real
go ahead.
quick. What about those
Uh-huh.
people that may not have communication skills? I've seen this, and I have friends tell me the same thing. You may be getting to know somebody, right? And they may not be the best communicator, or they may not be, don't want to be honest and say, well, I really don't know how to communicate. They'll say, I shouldn't have to tell you how to treat me. But everybody's different.
Right.
So now that opens the door for expectation. Now you don't move the way they move. You move the way you think they would want to be. But now it becomes a problem. So that's with the communication. So what's your take on that when people say, I shouldn't have to tell you?
You brought up a topic for next week, which is communication. So just to let everybody know, we're moving into that, and it's gonna flow really good, because this is that reason being is that now you got standards, now you know what your boundaries are, but now you need to figure out how to communicate those things. And you know, when it comes to communication, I've heard women say, you know, oh, well, he doesn't communicate. Sometimes people can be overbearing with their communication and they think that they're great communicators, but you're really not a good communicator. You're very aggressive in your communication style, which will make somebody else in the relationship feel small. So they're not going to want to do that. It's like a woman giving a man masculine energy. Some men don't like that masculine energy and ain't finna do it with you.
All right, now you better watch it.
Like, who you talking to? A whole grown man, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, but it's funny because I've had to go through that in my own relationship.
Right.
Because I can be, you know, because I'm not a coddler. I can be a little direct sometimes. And sometimes it can come off as, and I'd be like, oh, let me check that. So I know that there are cases where people don't really know what their communication style is like because they're in it. They haven't actually seen nobody's actually addressing it with them. So I think when we do that show next week, it's really going to help people to understand where they fall. And then we'll work on what it is that you need to do to tweak that. So that way, when it comes time to actually communicating doing your standards and communicating those and, really implementing your boundaries, it becomes a lot easier. But you've got to have that good communication. But see, I want people to see where they fall first before we work on the communication style.
Right.
Because I want people to have a good idea of what it is that they want and what they're trying to do. And now I can teach you how to communicate that. But yes, it is a thing. And some people don't know because they haven't been raised in households that have had great communication for them to be able to model.
Right.
So that's really important. Our second boundary is emotion. So in order to establish emotional boundaries, you need to be in touch with your own feelings.
Right.
Healthy emotional boundaries require you to know where you end and where your partner begins. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. If your partner's upset and you notice yourself sharing this feeling, then a boundary needs to be established. Wow. This is that thing where it's like you cannot adopt. This is where I call this the sympathy instead of empathy. So it's like when someone is in they're having a feeling and you've completely adopted that feeling to now where you are exactly feeling what it is that they're feeling. You won't exactly feel it the same way they do, but you've now adopted their emotion.
Right.
No. Empathy is me being able to say I empathize with you. I understand. I'm trying to relate, or I can relate, but I'm not going to take that on. So I think in relationships, what we need to do, what we need to do is we need to be able to set that boundary and say, or vice versa, right quick, or vice versa. You're upset, and now your partner's trying to fix that very thing for you. And we've seen people in relationships go through that. Oh, well, you're just so upset, and I just want to make it better. Some people that makes them even more upset.
That's real.
Because it's like, that's not what I need you to do right now. Right. So this is where the boundary, and a verbal boundary, is helpful to say, when I'm upset, I would like for you to listen to me without trying to fix it. Or I just want to vent. When you try to fix things, I don't feel heard. If I want your advice, I'll let you know. That's harsh. No, it's harsh, but it really is setting the boundary. Because I've said that to me and my husband, we have conversations all the time. Me and my husband have conversations all the time. Like, and I'll just be going on a tangent, right? And he'll be like, well, what is it that you want me to say or do? I don't want you to do anything. Right. I just want to vent. And my husband will be like, well, that's not fair because it's not what you said. So I've learned that when I come in with something, I'll say, hey, I really just need to get this off my chest. And will you just please listen to me? And let me just say what I got to say. And then let me know, like, does it sound like I'm coming from the right place? Do I got a leg to stand on? Or am I just tripping? Or, So I'll make sure to address it that way, because then it gives him a cue of what lane I need him to be in. See, we fail to realize too that, when we're in marriages or even long-term relationships or just in a relationship period, you've been with somebody for more than 2-3 years, you kind of got this multiple layer of a relationship. You're friends, you're lovers, you're this and you're all of these things. So sometimes we have to let our spouses or our friends, I just need you to go into friend mode right quick. I need you not to be my husband right quick, like 2 seconds, just so that I can, because the different dynamics of your relationship is also going to give you a different know when to switch certain things off and on sometimes.
And a deeper bond as well.
Right. Because if you do it right, you'll be friends. You'll have a very healthy friendship, and you'll notice as that relationship changes, that friendship is always going to be the main base of that relationship. So I will say that to him. Like, at the end of the day, I tell my husband all the time, I say, you always gonna be my ninja. I don't care what goes on. Like, that's the dude right there. Like, we cuts up, So, but you start to learn that, but you still have to be able to be okay with saying, hey, this is what I need from you.
Right. Makes sense.
And my husband should be able to tell me, hey, look, that ain't what I need right now. I don't need you to do all that. You know what I'm saying? Right. And create that boundary for me. Right. And it's not something that we should get upset about when our partners do that, because if we really care about each other and we really have respect for one another, we're going to adhere to that.
Ask one question, just clarity, right? That's what I do. I sit there. I'm the advocate. I sit there and push the envelope, right? So, right. Okay, I have that relationship. Not you personal. I'm talking about just anybody, right? Mm-hmm. These situations now, right? They're in the wrong. Okay. They're in the wrong. You're addressing it. Now they try to switch. I don't need that one right now. I need my friend. What do you do?
Well, did they already? So what you're saying is that they already told you what they needed up front?
Like, no. Like, they did something, right? Now my partner is coming at me. She's correcting me on something I did that she didn't like.
Right.
Now I tell her, I don't need that right now. I need my friend.
No, see, you can't. That's not healthy. And that's devil's advocate. That's not healthy. That's not healthy at all, because we should be able to address it. But see, it's also about, and we'll get into this, but it's also a lot about tone.
Tones. Right.
We got to know what tones are confrontational and what tones are not.
Right.
So I should be able to come to somebody and say, hey, people don't like the let's talk. People always shy away from the let's talk. I don't like it when he says it to me, and I know he don't like it when I say it to him, because it always makes you feel like you in trouble or something. Exactly. Like, oh, I didn't do this, something. Like, we got to sit down and have. So we'll do this to each other. Like, if I say let's talk, he's like, what we got to talk about? Is it what we got to talk about is bad? And I'm like, no. He's like, oh, okay. And I ask the same question. What we got to talk about? Is it bad? Like, just because you're trying to mentally prepare yourself for whatever the conversation is. Right. But I think that somebody saying to you that they want to have a conversation with you is not a bad thing, because it's an opportunity for growth in whatever relationship that you're in. Even with friends, hey girl, I gotta talk to you. I really didn't like that you did such and such and such and such. That was, it was inappropriate, or, whatever. We talk to our super, hey, I appreciate, I know that you're trying to, you know, do the best that you can do, but you putting too much over here on my plate, and I can't, that's not fair to me. Yeah, you don't pay me too money to do this. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, like, we gotta not be afraid to let people know when things are affecting us, because when we sit on those things, what happens is we build resentment, and when that lid blows, it's going to be an explosive. And everybody's been in a relationship where when it gets heated, you arguing about everything other than what the initial argument was about, because it's so much built up that it's like, now is the time to just go ahead and let loose, and that's not okay.
Like a bar fight. Anything goes.
Right. So we got to be able to address things when they need to be addressed and not be afraid to do that. And then sexual boundaries.
Instead of sitting on it.
Yeah, instead of sitting on it. Just, we're setting the boundaries. We're trying to get better in that realm of communication, right? So we got to be okay with, learning to communicate, period. And boundaries really do help you learn how to get better at communicating. So we were talking about the booty call earlier. I don't know if she's still in here, Tramika, but sexual boundaries. Sexual boundaries refer to your expectations around physical intimacy. Okay. It is what you are okay and not okay with sexually. Boundaries include around frequency, sexual comments, unwanted sexual touches, expectations around others being involved in your sex life, and what sexual acts are preferred to be off limits, and what is to be discussed. She said, I'm here.
All right now.
But healthy sexual boundaries include a mutual agreement when it comes to sex.
Right.
So this is a thing too about sleeping with a stranger or someone we really don't know.
Sneaky link.
We don't know what some of this is that they got going on. And the reason being is, when you're in a healthy relationship and you got healthy boundaries, you have a mutual agreement, you have an understanding of mutual consent, and an understanding of each other's sexual limits and desires. Because we don't know who's been sexually abused. We don't know if certain positions are going to trigger them. We don't know if there is even a sexual boundary that's even needed. We don't know.
Right.
So some people may avoid sexual contact if you're reminded of a traumatic event, and that person that you have, you've been with your partner, or this person that you just slept with, and they done did something that happened to you when you were, sexually abused. It took you there. That's going to put you in a whole nother space.
Right.
So establishing a boundary around what you're comfortable with in your sex life makes people in their relationship and in their sex life healthy and happy.
Right.
So, but here's the thing. A lot of people can have sex quickly, but have the hardest time having conversations around sex. It is the hardest thing for people to talk about, which the life of me, I don't understand. But we can sleep with people that we barely know.
Yeah.
People can do it unprotectedly, be willing to make babies and everything else, and catch anything else under the sun. Yeah. But when it comes time to actually talk about it, we feel most vulnerable. Yeah. And we feel like the conversation may not produce what we want.
Right. Now we're vulnerable.
But you got to do this. Right. Because this would also keep a lot of infidelity down. People don't realize it, but it actually does, because sex makes up, we'll just say, people want to put it on a scale. I'm not going to give it 50. I give it 20 to 30% of a relationship. Maybe. Because people got their different they different, whatever their frequencies are or whatever.
Right.
But sex is a very important thing to talk about. And I think that, even married couples, as they progress, and have been together for a long term, this is the same person you've been sleeping with now for, 15, 20 years.
Right.
So now I think my screen went out. I don't know why I had an update pop up and I'm on the dang on do not disturb.
Right.
It do what it want to do. But after you've been with somebody for 15, 20 years, things may not be the same.
Let's spice it up. Yeah,
Bodies start to change a little bit. Things start going on. Things start happening. We got to be able to communicate that with our partners and not feel ashamed about being able to do that. Women go through, as we get older, we'll go through menopause. Anybody who's read up about menopause, there's going to be a lot of changes that's going to happen with that. You know what I'm saying? Mood swings, stuff go on down there because you're losing estrogen. You know what I'm saying? So these are the times. Like, my thing is, if you don't communicate those things, your partner doesn't know. You might have been in a position with your partner 10 years ago that felt great. Now today you got your body done changed a little bit. You like, oh, that hurt a little bit. We can't do that. But you ain't told them that they can't do that. So they thinking they still gonna be able to, you know what I'm saying? So my thing is, just be okay with talking about that. And especially if you've been a victim of sexual assault.
Right.
For people who want to have 3-ways and things like that in their relationships, you might have somebody who was sexually assaulted by someone who, maybe multiple people at a time. Maybe that freaks them out. Maybe that whole idea takes them to a place that they just don't know. You know what I'm saying? So you really got to be able to communicate. I don't think that people should be having 3-ways. I think it opens the door for other things, but I can't tell people how to live their lives.
Right. What about the poly lifestyle?
I don't think that's good for nobody neither. That poly lifestyle is different because I think it's different. I think it's it's funny that you bring it up because I've always looked at all these religions and the religions that kind of follow those lifestyles, and I think it's something different because you ain't never in the history heard of a woman getting 2 husbands, 3 husbands. It's always the man that get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wives. If this ain't some unfit, I just think that if the shoe was on the other foot, I think that lifestyle will go away real quick.
Real fast. No, that's a fact. Definitely, yeah. No,
but I think that, I think there's some trauma and some things that's got to be there. I mean, I know in Africa there's, that there are some tribes that's just, they don't know nothing different. Right. But I don't think that anybody should, because I think it, in some way, shape, or form, it affects how somebody feels about themselves. Yeah. No, because if they flip that, honey, these women about to be out here doing it.
Men couldn't handle it. The men couldn't handle it. Yeah, God know what he was doing. Men couldn't handle that. Yeah.
No, they wouldn't make it. You get married to who? I got to do what? And I've watched Sister Wives before. I've seen it when it was like 7, 8 years ago when they did the show on TLC. I watched it. I thought it was crazy. The one guy he had a house built because he didn't want to give his wives each a house. So his house was stupid dumb. But he would rotate. I spend, the night over here on these days, spend the night over here on these days, spend the night over here on these days. And, then we all come together and I said, but I'm gonna leave it alone. I ain't gonna put it out there because I said, that ain't. I don't know no people like that. I don't know people that are built like that over there. But
that ain't gonna happen.
No, but talk about it. Don't be afraid to set sexual boundaries, and that's something that you can even implement when you're dating. And be like, look, somebody might bring it up and be like, hey, so when we go, you can shut it down real quick and be like, you know what? I'm not having sex until something, whatever that is. Right. Because when you say I'm not, or you say I don't like, or you say, don't do, you're setting a boundary. Right. You're setting a boundary. You're letting somebody know, I need, or, that ain't gonna work. You're letting somebody know where you stand.
Right.
So don't be afraid to implement sexual boundaries. Our fourth one is intellectual boundaries.
Okay.
This encompasses your belief systems, your ideas. Boundaries are showing respect for different views and ideas can keep you from having your feelings hurt. Talking down to someone or treating them as though they're not smart enough to understand what you're saying can damage your emotional intimacy with them.
Right.
Now, this goes for men and women in relationships. Um, Again, I don't care what kind of relationship it is. This could even be, you could use this with your children. You know, when people say, "Oh, well, you stupid, you don't understand it," or "Oh, you couldn't get this kind of grade," or "Oh, you don't even know how to cook right," or "Oh, the one time he do laundry, he gonna mess up all my clothes," or you know what I'm saying?
Traumatizing. Right.
You talking down to them does not build a safe space. So now what you're doing is you're putting a wedge between their ability to trust you because there is no safe zone. Relationships have to have a safety. This is where I feel safe. If I don't feel safe in this relationship, you are no different than the rest of the world. If there is no safety, there is no trust. And for men, we know, watch your words, yeah? We know that men require a safe zone of consistency. Good men. And I'm gonna put the same for good men because some of these jokers out here tell you anything under the sun, but it's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Will mimic some emotions for you and women too. But for most men, they require consistency of a safe zone to be displayed over and over and over again.
Right.
Men don't naturally, well, number one, they're not as vulnerable as women, but naturally they're not going to spill all of their emotions and all of their vulnerabilities at one time. So that's something that you earn over time out of men, to be able to be emotional and to be vulnerable with you. But the minute that you kick that, you'll lose it. And if you lose it, it's going to be something very hard to work your way back up to get. And for men that when they do give you that, like even for men who've been in relationships with women for, a little while, a couple years maybe, and he's still not being as emotionally available to you as you would like. It's a conversation to have had, and be like, well, what happened? Or, what is it because some men didn't learn that. They didn't know how to do it. Some men, they maybe were belittled in their childhood for being, kind of in tune with themselves emotionally in that department. So you just got to really kind of have those conversations and really be sensitive to each other so that you both get what you want out of that, and to be able to be respectful and appreciative of each other's, differences in certain areas at certain times. If you're afraid to share your views or opinions because of your partner's response, if your partner calls you names or you have different opinions or political views, you could feel as though they don't see your thoughts or beliefs. And a boundary around this could be, for an example, when we disagree politically and you tell me my opinion is wrong, it makes me feel like you don't respect my view.
Right.
So we all have this innate thing where we want to be right. And that's the belief system. What we believe in, we want to believe that is right, right? I'm the first person in the sun to believe that what I believe is 100% accurate and there ain't no other way, okay? So I'm going to eat this one for y'all. I know how to have a conversation with somebody and be like, it's okay for us to agree to disagree. I don't have to tell you that. I don't have to get into that with you. But if this is what you believe, then you're gonna ride that out. Now, if you are open to debating, then I'm willing to debate with you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it may not change what it is that you believe, and I have to be okay with that. But if you telling me, hey, I feel like because you like this political party, and then when I go over here to share about my political party, that you say, oh, well, your political party's right and mine's wrong, it hurts my feelings. Well, I'm sorry that it hurts your feelings, and I didn't mean that. That was not my intention. But if you want to share your view, I'm open to listening to it. I think we have to get into the difference of understanding that you're not going to change what I believe if that's strongly what you believe.
Right.
But you also got to get enough thick skin to understand that everybody's not going to believe what you believe.
Right.
But I don't want to be, for me, I don't want to be with someone who doesn't believe what I believe.
Right. That's the point. That's the point right there.
Because if we don't share the same belief system, the same ideology to some extent, we're not going to make it. Because we're constantly going to be butting heads about that. Because the belief system shapes everything else.
Right. I agree. And two things real quick. You said when you're talking about the men being vulnerable in front of the women, but it could go both ways. Just a question. I want to get your take on that, and then what we was just talking about. So in a situation where whether the male or the female opens up, right, they're being vulnerable.
Right.
Now down the road, they use it as a weapon later against you. Right? That's part one. Part two, we're talking about open communication. We may not agree all the time. Right? And the belittling, the name calling, or you feel smaller, right? Once it gets to that point where the person kind of like shuts down, like how damaged, or in both situations, how in the red, or how like, if we you need help, 911, where are you at in both situations when it comes to the tit for tat, when it comes to, you hurt my feelings, so I'm gonna hurt your feelings. We don't agree, you talk down to me, so I'm gonna make you feel less than. It may have been verbally, you made me feel small. Now, physically, I'm gonna make you feel small. And then on the flip side, when we talk about vulnerabilities now, where it becomes a weapon, like I'm sharing personal stuff, my dad wasn't there. Now they get mad at you. Yes, because your daddy wasn't there, or vice versa. Men may do
Are they just saying this back to you, or are they taking this elsewhere?
No. This personal. I ain't gonna say
okay, just back and forth between you and
them. Tit for tat. So.
I think that shows that they lack communication. So first of all, there's a difference between communication, and then there's a difference between being able to communicate and then conflict resolution. Conflict resolution is something that you have to learn how to do. Just because you know how to communicate does not mean that you know how to resolve conflict. Okay, so you see that in barriers when people do not know how to effectively communicate what it is that they want to say. And sometimes people want to say, I understand, that you may, you may not see an issue in your behavior because you lacked, parental advice or guidance in this area.
Right.
So there's a way to communicate these things without it coming off as it being aggressive and I just want to attack you because I'm angry. Right. Now, if you're just throwing shots because you want to hurt somebody because your feelings were hurt, then this shows me that neither one of these two people know how to have a healthy conversation. Because usually people that can communicate in a healthy manner, they're going to let someone know, like, hey, it's hard to communicate with you. Right. Because I don't, this is not how I, right. I'm not, and I've heard people say, like, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to get in conflict with you. First of all, arguments at certain stages can be considered passion and can be considered that, some couples, there's nothing in the relationship. They don't fight anymore. They don't do anything anymore. And we say that's when the relationship is run dry. It's done. It's over with. If you got a couple that's got a lot of different things going on, but they're still willing to engage each other sometimes in conflict, then there's still a level of passion there that means that the relationship can be salvaged. Right. However, you can't use each other's secrets, as I would say. The confidant, you become that confidant for them. But now you take all of their secrets and you throw them in their face. Because what that does is it's going to make that person shut down. They're not going to confide in you anymore. If I'm not going to keep telling you stuff, if you're just going to turn around and throw it back in my lap, because now you're penalizing. And then you're penalizing me for something that wasn't my fault. And especially if it's like, oh, well, you didn't have a mother, you didn't have a father, and that's why you so messed up. Like, first of all, there's a way to communicate what it is that's on your mind. But how you just did it comes off as a jab. And I can't, and at this point, it's coming off really hurtful. I would have to really take a stand back and look at that relationship dynamic. And I would want to look at the consistency of the patterns of is this how they always communicate? What are other areas of the relationship like with them that needs to be revisited and addressed? And is this a healthy situation for me? And do I need to get out? We're not going to come perfect. Right. We're all going to have something. But is it doable? Some things are just not doable. Some things we're just too far along in life that you're like, I'm not going to deal with that. I dealt with that when I was 20, 21, 22, maybe 26. We're not doing that now. Like, I'm done with that. Some of the stuff you might have tolerated in your early 30s, you get to your 40s and you like, oh, no. Right. It's a wrap. Right. Like, I need you to come equipped. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to ask yourself, what have people been doing between their 20 gap to, 35? Right. If you're even at 35. Right. There should be some kind of self-reflection and growth. But if you still doing what you was doing at 24, 25, at 35, you need to revisit in life. Right. DM me so I can help you. Right. Get together. Right. Because that ain't where it's at. But then you also got to think too, a person who's communicating like this, who is in their circle, and what do the people that they hang out with, how do they communicate? What's going on in their lives? See, you'll start to see some things once you get into that. That's why I said the dating process is so cool, right? Because they can show you all this little consistency for all this little time, but once it keeps going, and now you're kind of introducing friends, and you're kind of doing those. Now you get to really see some stuff because now you're seeing people that you ain't seen before. Different dynamics. What these people like? How they communicate? What they talk about? You because we all kind of have a tendency to hang out in that realm together. You see what I'm saying? Right. So those are the things that you want to look for. But yeah, don't do that tit for tat. And when somebody does that, you need to address that and say, you need to address it and you need to set the boundary. Right. I'm not going to tolerate you doing that. Right. I told you something in confidence. Now you're turning around and you're weaponizing it. And that's not okay. And if you do that again, then it could be the end, or it could be, I'm not going to share nothing else with you. So our relationship dynamic is going to change drastically because I can no longer confide in you.
Right. Which is unhealthy because once that shutdown comes, it's just a matter of time.
Right. And even in friendships, that same thing still applies. Right. Right. Because I've had friends where I feel like, you don't never support or do, anything that's going on with me, but I'm always available for you. Right. Let me address that and set that boundary to let you know that I'm not going to continue to make myself available for you. Right. So our friendship is no longer a friendship. We have dropped down to an acquaintanceship, or, this is an associate relationship. Wow. Based on how we've handled this situation. Sometimes you have to do that to people. Right. And you got to be okay with it. And you just got to be okay with it.
That's real.
And then our last one for the night is financial boundaries. Some of y'all gonna love this one. So financial boundaries, yes, baby. They all about
my money. Your money is my money. They say This is what I heard people say. Your money is my money, and my money is my money. I heard women tell men that. Is that a thing? His money is her money, and her money is her money.
I learned something really cool the other day. All right. Me and Cruz were listening to something, and I was like, "Dang, that makes sense." Because you used to hear back in the day that the man would come home, he'd give his wife the whole paycheck.
Right. I know a few people like that. Yeah.
But you know why he did that?
Right. Because he knew she would handle all the business. He go ahead.
It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that. But what it is it was to make her feel that she knew what was going on financially. That was his way of making her aware of the finances. So she couldn't say, well, you never give me any money to go do this, and you never give me any money to go do that. No, because this is what I got. I gave it to you. You're going to pay all the bills and, whatever else we need. And then if there's something, then you can get something. It never left her in the dark about finances.
Right.
And I thought that was really cool because, back then a lot of women were stay-at-home moms. Right. So that was their way of making her aware of what was going on in the finances. And I just thought that was really cool. And I was like, oh, I learned something new. I thought that, mama was balling out.
Right. And even in church, I know a lot of the ministers and stuff like that, a lot of the married couples, they teach that in the classes where a lot of them, whether the woman works or not, a lot of the men, they actually do that. It's like they get the check, they give it to her, and it shows them that we're invested. Like, I'm not going anywhere. I don't have a separate account. I'm not going to leave you stuck down the road. We're in this together. So when you hear them talking and sharing their stories, it makes sense more than giving you a paycheck. It's like an intimacy that they've built. Like, yo, we in this together. Where it's like, it ain't your money, my money, it's our money. They have actually, working on being one, and that's, manifesting through that. So I've seen a couple people do that as well.
Oh, I like that version too. I like that one too. So financial boundaries. When you guys were talking about that finance, we're talking about the finance.
We're talking about the money.
Boundaries around joint versus separate accounts. How much goes into savings? What purchases you want to make? How much discretionary funds each of you get out of that paycheck? Can you both on the same page about where your finances are concerned at? So, like, are you on the same page about that? Having a different set of rules and agendas related to where and how you spend your money can cause a great deal of strain on your relationship. If you feel as though you're often fighting about money, boundaries are often needed. Discussions about your financial goals up front can keep your finances from becoming a contention in the relationship.
Right.
So, for an example, if you agree to put money in a separate account for, to pay for a vacation or something, this can be helpful. You might want to say to your spouse or to, I want to go on a nice vacation, but we both need to contribute to the vacation fund for that to happen. If you tell me when to contribute to the fund and how much you're putting in, I'll match it. Boundaries will help your relationship function effectively. I need people to know that. When you notice that you're feeling disrespected, taken advantage of, or hurt, you might want to consider how putting a boundary in place can improve this. Knowing that you're respecting your personal limits and needs can improve a couple's relationship and also keep it very healthy and very strong. So, and about finances, I know I'm going to throw myself on the chop block. That was me. I live my best life, okay? Right. I used to live my best life. That's all I'm going to tell you. And me and my husband were married for a certain amount of years before we ever crossed over into joint accounts. Right. And my husband was like, because you do too much. I love you to death, but you do too much. So I'm going to let your money be over here with you. Right. And I'm going to let my money be over here with me. Right. And then, even after that, I would still kind of, because I'm an only child. So I have some only child syndrome tendencies. I will be honest about that. I think I'm working on those. I think I've come a long way. I just want to point that out to everybody. But I grew up a little different. So I'm used to being on both sides of the spectrum. I'm used to I'm used to having a level of a silver spoon in my mouth, but then I'm also used to knowing what it's like to be without. So I never want to feel like I'm without So I always kind of revert my mind process back to, well, if I can do A, B, C, and D, then I can have A, B. And so I've always kind of operated in that realm. And when you get married, you can't do that. Okay. You don't get to do that. So I can be the first person to say, I know what it's like to decide to want to divide finances because I want to do what I want to do with my money, and I don't want to have to give you no answer for it.
Right.
And then if I run, but then I would be spending my money, and then I'd be looking at my husband like, well, what about, am I, no, no, ma'am, no, ma'am. You know what I'm saying? But I can remember going through that conversation, and to be honest with you, finances are the biggest. They are vital to a relationship success. Right. They really, really are, because there had been a couple of times in my life where I had thought, if this doesn't get better, or if I don't make some changes, this is really going to put a strain in my marriage. Right. Like we're not going to survive. Like everything else is together, but we're not going to survive this. Right. But you got to also look at where each other come from. What presses for that ideology that they have? You know, what are they trying to change about themselves? You know, what is the goal of this that they're trying to do? Because sometimes people will legit think that people just are trying to keep them from finances. That's not true. A lot of times people want to have security. So in order for security to take place, you're going to have to go without certain things for a little while in order to get that security blanket that you need. So I think that when you do decide that you're in a space with someone to merge that, really look at how they spend money while you're dating them. Even in the early stages of that relationship. Because if you've been seeing someone for 2 months, maybe you're considering going exclusive, you know, in the next 30 days or whatever, start looking at some things. Just because you decide to get yourself into a relationship with someone doesn't mean that you're getting married tomorrow or that you're moving in together. But these are the things that you want to look at before you take that step. Right. Who wants to move in with somebody who's got bad spending habits? Yeah, or they never have any money? Or they're possibly getting, you know, payday or check advances, you know, from payday loans, or maybe their bank offers, you know, check advances. And so you're finding out, oh, well, every time he get paid, his check is gone, and then he goes, I got another payday advance, or she's going to do that. You want to know who you're getting yourself tied to.
Right. Or that day I decided to do the Wii for the first time. It's been 2 good months. He come over for the Wii and the power goes out.
Right.
Bill's behind. He's behind on everything, but he's balling out of control every time y'all out. Yo, oh no, get you another shot.
Yeah. And there are women that are out there like that too.
Right.
You know, when you spend all your money on your hair, your nails, your makeup. But when you come in your house is empty, or you don't have any food in there. You know, you're starting to see where priorities lie when you look at people's finances. Right. Finances will tell you a lot about priority. Right. So I think that is a great thing. I think that is a great thing to look at in it early on. Right. And then when you get into a relationship, you know, have that boundary around what this looks like moving forward. You know, and it's something that you can talk about while you're dating. Like, hey, what are your thoughts on finances? You know, do you have any financial goals? Not that I'm trying to figure out how much you make, or, you know, you don't want to be intrusive, but, you know, hey, I'm just, you know, curious about what your goals are financially. Right. You know, so the idea of boundaries, and like I said, you don't have to be in a relationship to have these boundaries. But they're good either way. They're good for people that are here that are in relationships, right. And they're good for people that are considering to be in relationships. Right. These are things that you can look at. The boundaries that you can start thinking about how you want to approach. Because a lot of people, I believe these 5 are the most important that people have. Physical, emotional, sexual, intellectual, and financial boundaries are most important for a lot of people. Right. Okay. So I'm going to give y'all a homework assignment. So I gave you the first one. The first one was, yes. What does your standards list say about you? Are they true to your beliefs, morals, and values? Can you be consistent in implementing them without wavering? If your answer is yes, then you good. But if you're finding out that your standards list is looking more like a wish list, you need to really dive into your belief system, your philosophy, what it is that you really want.
Right.
And we're not talking about the superficial. This is the deep stuff. And then when you're making that list, also add on your dating list boundary. Needs to be on time. Has to be willing to, go on X amount of dates before you can come pick me up. I'm always going to tell somebody where I'm going. Girl, this is where I'm going. I need you to know, honey. Okay? And then our last homework assignment. So I kind of made a statement. I said, understand that implementing boundaries are done through communication. So because communication is the next week's episode, okay? It's episode 3. What I want you to think about is, have you successfully been able to communicate your boundaries? Now, they don't have to necessarily be these boundaries, okay? But I want you to think about some boundaries that you put in place. It could have been, I'm not gonna, I don't want you to cheat on me.
Right.
I'm not open to that. I'm not open to threesomes. I'm not doing that. I go to church every Sunday. That's non-negotiable. You know what I'm saying? Have you been able to communicate the boundaries that matter to you? If you have not been able to do so, what is keeping you from being able to communicate them successfully, or has even kept you from attempting to communicate them?
Right.
Okay? So when I ask that question, are you having a difficult time communicating? Do you feel like the person that you want to communicate them to is intimidating? Do you feel like it's going to cause conflict?
Right. They won't let me put it all up there, but that's
okay. So if not, what is keeping you from being able to communicate them successfully, or has kept you from attempting to communicate them? Okay. Now, this is for you. This is for you. If you do the assignments, like I said, you will at the end of the series, you will have your growth packet, as I like to call it. You'll be able to look back and see, okay, this is what I needed to tweak, and I tweaked it here. This is where I found that I'm communicating that. Now I can go back and actually successfully communicate my boundaries. I can go back and, feel more comfortable about talking about my standards. So as the series continues to progress, we're going to get a little deeper. Everything's going to start to come together.
right.
Side, you got any last words or anything?
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed the show right here. I'm actually putting the homework assignments in the comments real quick. But I definitely enjoyed the show right there. I appreciate the feedback. The people engaged, they tuned in. I definitely appreciate that. I learned a lot, and again, it's like, I joke and laugh, but it's like, I do that just to touch on different points of views. I've been in different places in my life, but I'm definitely excited about the boundaries because, like you said, it's definitely needed, and standards. And it's like, even in talking, a lot of times it's like we may have standards, or we say that we have standards, but the thing that I wasn't doing, sometimes my standards would waver. I have to now, I would lower my standards. It's like, she look a little good. I like the way that dress is, so I might lower her standards. But she can't hold a conversation, but she's pretty. That's the 20 years ago. That's the kid me. Being a man now, it's like, I don't want to know that. That's not what drives me. Nowadays it's more like, what's her quality like? Can my kids learn from her? Is she an example? Would she be somebody that I would want my kids to be like? Or it's like, is that just somebody that I enjoy going out with? Now you become an acquaintance. We can party, we're single, but not sexual. We can draw a boundary because you have no substance. It's like, you're a good time, you're a vibe.
Right.
But you're a vibe with everybody. So therefore, I don't want to get sexual with you. We can have a good time, the life of the party. Things like that. So it's like, as I grow older, it's like I look at it, like you said, how standards change or we tweak them. But now I have to be to a point where it's like, okay, you want to work with somebody. You know what I mean? I have a good
Mm-hmm.
heart, so I'm always trying to work with somebody, which is
Right.
that's one of my downfalls. You see the red flag, and it's like, but I can work with them, you know, because I would
Mm-hmm.
want somebody to work with me.
Right.
But the deal breaker now is they
Right.
have to be willing to work with themselves. They have to be willing to change. Sometimes you say, I work with you. They hear, I can stay here. I can be comfortable. It's a difference in, yo, you know, you might be struggling with that. We can get through, but you got to come up. I can't lower it down so you can be comfortable or so that we can be together. So,
That's
yo,
actually
definitely.
That's actually a good one, because whether you know it or not, that's actually going to be part of us. That's part of the series as it goes. And I'm not going to tell y'all what episode. Yeah, I don't want nobody to jump ahead of themselves.
Right.
But we will actually talk about some of that, because we got to know when to cut ties. And there's a lot of different scenarios other than just, you know, because sometimes, like I said, sometimes we're vested. Sometimes we got some things going on and we're vested. And we want to be workable. And we want things that we want to make things doable. Change, listen to me. And I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna go on. I have a conversation, not a headache.
So he can't even have a conversation without them giving him a headache nowadays. He turned that music down for one, he'll be all right. That started the problem right there. Cut that music down, DJ Hot Rock. Cut that music down. You won't be getting a headache.
So here's the thing with that. Change is never for you. Okay? Somebody is never going to change for you. And if they do change for you, the change is temporary.
Right. It ain't gonna last. Right.
Change has to be for self. That's the most important thing. So as you're even changing, as you're revamping your standards list, right? So for people who are new to the standards list and are feeling good about their standards, and hey, post them somewhere where you can see them.
Right.
Post them somewhere where you can see them.
I think I'm going to tweak mine. I think I answered them wrong. But I'll tell you offline. I ain't gonna put
Okay.
I ain't gonna do that.
But post them somewhere where you can see them. Post them. Right. You know a lot about boundaries now. What are some boundaries about dating? What are some do's and don'ts that you're not? You know, even in conversation. You know, about your belief system, about your intellectual. You know, what are some boundaries you got with you know, physical.
What about the people that can't communicate? What if they say,
maybe
well,
I don't want to kiss on the first date, right. The second date. You know, I'm not willing to do that.
Right. What about the people
don't be afraid to write this stuff out for yourself and post it somewhere where you can see it every day.
Right.
Because when you're trying to create new habits, you need to be able to see that. You need to be able to read them every day to yourself. Like, hey, this is it. I'm not going back. Right. We're not doing it the old way. We're doing it the new way. And for people that are in long-term relationships, if you're noticing that your boundaries have never been fully addressed, you know, or you're not addressing boundaries in your relationship, do that. It's never too late to try to change the course or the direction of a relationship. If someone doesn't want to be on board with that direction and you're trying to give it focus and direction, then you have your answer. Okay?
Real. That's real.
So I'm really excited about the show, and I wanted to apologize that we got started late. I know we kept y'all a little late tonight. I appreciate all of you that did stay and rock out with us today on the show, and I hope you got something out of it. I really do. I'm excited about every week coming up. Like, I'm super excited about the communication styles next week and just how to be a better communicator. We're not going to get into conflict resolution or fighting fair just yet. But we are going to get into just the basics of communication, the different styles, where you fall, what they look like, how to know these signs. So I'm just really excited about, you know, progressing and doing and bringing it to you guys. every week. And again, I just thank you so much for you guys participating and communicating and, you know, being a part of the show, because the show doesn't work without you.
Right.
There is no show without you.
Definitely appreciate everybody watching. Definitely tuning in the comments. Yeah, we definitely appreciate every one of y'all.
Yeah.
Fact.
And like I said, if you guys have any questions, anything that you want to talk to me about offline, please do not hesitate to hit me in the DM. Some of you guys have gotten Facebook messages from me just saying thank you, because I always go back and look at the comments and see who was in the show. So I will always pop in on you and say hey and just say thank you for dropping in and, you know, checking us out. So I just really want to say that. So you'll probably hear something from me within the next day or two. Just saying thank you for stopping by, and, you know, if you got any questions, you know, feel free to reach out. I do that personally. Rob, I ain't doing that to you because I know you. I'm glad you had a good show. I'll text you.
Yeah, Rob dope. Yeah, I'm rooting on Rob. Yo, Rob gonna pull it together. We in it to win it, Rob. We in this together. We're gonna keep it crunk, man. We're gonna do it our own damn thing.
But no, again, I just appreciate y'all, and I really do hope that you got something out of it. Like I said, I'm open to tweaking. I'm open for critiques and feedback. Please let me know if there's something that you think that I could have done differently, said differently, added, any of that. Let me know, because I want to make sure that I'm doing it and giving y'all the best information that I can, and I'm open to that feedback. So Tramika, I really appreciate you jumping in the comments and really having a conversation with us. I can't think of the other. What's the other lady's
Miss
name?
T, Tanya Bonner.
We had Tanya, and then what was
Miss
the other
T.
lady's name? I want to say it started with an L.
Lachelle Walker.
Lachelle Walker. I
Lachelle
appreciate
Walker.
her being a
Salute
part
Lachelle Walker.
of
Right.
being a part of the show and participating and commenting. I really do love y'all's feedback and energy, because it really just makes the show so much more fun for me.
Right.
So I really do appreciate that so much. Stay tuned. Do your homework. And stay tuned for next week. Super excited about next week. So there's 2 homework assignments, one for standards, one for boundaries. Right. But like I said, if you did the first one and you feel like you did it right, then the answer is going to be yes. You're not going to need to go on to that one. Just post it somewhere. Post it somewhere. If you got it in your phone, put a reminder on it every day so that you can see it. You just need to see it. You just need to get yourself in a groove of getting ready to lay this new foundation, if you haven't already had the foundation. Now, if you got the foundation, that's great. You're already a step ahead of the game.
Right. That's both of them. Okay. So they're in the comments as well. So if they watching, they'll be on the in the comments on YouTube and on Facebook.
All right.
Yo, well, we gotta let them know before you go. We gotta let them know before you go. I'm gonna put this up here. Let them know what this is right here, yo, for the people. Yeah, you can't just don't tell them about this right here. Come on.
Okay. All right.
Now.
So, I have started my own / I guess we can call it a brand. But the social canvas is just that. The social, your way. So I am dedicated. Hopefully I will have some links for y'all next week. But I am dedicated to bringing you guys the social all the time. So that means everything social. So on my channel, once the YouTube goes hot, it won't necessarily be series that you'll see in this like this. But what it'll be is I will build different playlists. So we'll have a playlist for mental health. There may be a three part about anxiety in there. What anxiety is, what things you can try to do to treat your anxiety naturally. And then I'll also give like national hotline numbers for people throughout the country, a number they can call so that they can get a state number for their area to be directed to mental health services. So we'll have a mental health folder. We'll have more relationship advice, dating advice, parenting advice, places that you can go with your friends, places you can go with your family, great dating locations and spaces to go out if you're in the Raleigh area. So it's just everything social. We'll also be doing some panels on there where we'll do panel discussions with 3 guys, 3 girls, so that we can see different perspectives about different topics. So it's just going to be everything social. Super excited about it. Like I said, it's going to be under the SDS network. So I'm super excited about that. So that means Cy will be on the show. I'm gonna get him to come on over there. We're gonna get him from behind his desk and over to a different desk and try
Right.
that environment out.
Right.
So I'm just really super excited about it. I'm just excited to be able to discuss multiple different topics. I'm definitely looking for people. Once I give you guys all the links, I'm definitely going to be looking forward to people dropping me things and saying, hey, I really would love for you to talk about this, or I really love for you to talk about that. And that's what it's about, is it's about sharing the different perspectives and getting out things that people want to talk about, not just what I want to talk about. So I think that's really going to be a lot of fun. I'm super excited about it. I'm actually going to have some participants. I'm going to start gravitating, whether people know it or not. Those are people that are in the comments a lot are going to be people that I'm going to reach out to about panel interviews and things like that, because I want people that, are not going to be biased, people that I can't say that I know 100% on this way or that way. So just kind of want to get that,
right.
I'm trying to look for the word.
Organic honesty. Right.
Yeah, I'm so excited about it because it really is my baby.
Right.
And I've really been working on this. Like I've been mulling over it for about the past year and a half now. And my idea and vision has constantly revamped. And I finally feel like I'm in a space with it where it makes sense, it works, it's doable, and I'm just super excited about it. So hopefully next week we'll have some links.
Right.
And the pages they'll go hot. The YouTube will go hot. And so on the YouTube, we'll also do a weekly food for thought. I'm super excited about that. I don't care what nobody says. I'm super excited about the foods for thought. So just a really cool platform for just everything social.
That's dope right there. Congratulations on that right there. And definitely innovative. I'm definitely excited about that. And I'm definitely honored to be a part of that journey as well.
Yes.
Definitely. Salute.
Yes. Because you're gonna be there.
Oh yeah. We're gonna turn it up. I'm definitely trying to get my social on, because I'm gonna be out here dating the right way, looking at my standards, checking my boundaries, so that when it's time for the marriage, I'm in there. I'm in there like swimwear. I already know what I got because I done did it right this time.
That's right. And it's gonna work. It's gonna work. And people just don't realize how much it does work. Right. It just takes some time. And I'm one of those people that I rather have the tools to weed out the bad stuff, to avoid having to go through the bad stuff, because you're just wasting time doing the wrong thing or with the wrong person when you could have been with the right person. And sometimes I think we can skip and miss our blessings when we stuck in a space we shouldn't be.
You said a powerful thing. You said a powerful thing right there. Stuck in the wrong space right there. You're stuck in the wrong space. You miss your blessing.
You miss your blessing.
God told you Tuesday at 11 o'clock, your prince is coming.
Mm-hmm.
You over here with Jethro. Jethro said you ain't going nowhere. Jethro ain't trying to wife you. Y'all just sneaking and linking. With Jethro, let's say the clock, 10 o'clock, you getting dressed. Where you think you going? You be obedient. I'm not going nowhere, Jethro. That's right, because I'm going to bop your head if you go. You miss your blessing. Now you're in a domestic situation. And God is saying, only thing you had to do was show up. That's all we had to do was show up. That's real. Yo, I'm excited, because like I said, it's teaching me, it's opened my eyes. I've realized why a lot of my relationships didn't work. And I realized a lot of the things that I did wrong. And one of my biggest things was I didn't know what I was looking for. I didn't have a blueprint of, so I wouldn't know what the right one was if it walked in my face anyway, because I'm winging it.
Right.
No plan is planning to fail.
Mm-hmm. And that's what this is about, because like I said, it's never too late to revamp your situation. It's never too late to make changes for yourself. Right. But this is really your journey. Right. And you got to look at your journey. And like I said, you can apply this on so many levels. Exactly. Girlfriends can put standards in place for their friendships with their homegirls. They can put boundaries in place with their homegirls. You can put boundaries in place with family, your in-laws, all of this stuff. Like, this is not just a one size fits this. And that's what's so cool about it. Now, yes, I do speak to it more so along the guidelines of a dating relationship aspect.
Right.
But this really can be used across multiple platforms.
Right. That's a fact.
So,
Yeah, I'm excited.
but I look forward to seeing y'all next week. And I just want to salute y'all for coming out and being a part of the night show. Like I said, I know I kept y'all a little late tonight, and I apologize. I'm gonna have my stuff together next week. I'm gonna have my stuff together next week, okay? Cruz, thank you.
Yo, salute the Cruz, yo.
Yeah. Bless his heart. Bless his heart. So, you got anything for we tap out?
I just thank everybody for tapping in right there. I ask that y'all continue to do the homework and grow with us as we're doing it, as we're being honest and sharing our lives with y'all. We ask that y'all continue to do the same. And yo, thanks for everybody tuning in. Yo, I appreciate it. Yo. That's about it for me. Yo, rest in peace to Sunny Base again. Salute.
Yes. All right now. So until next week, y'all.
Until next week, yo. We love y'all. Everybody be safe.
Yes, 7 p.m. next week. We're gonna be on time.
All right, yo. We love y'all. Thank y'all, yo. Thanks for tuning in.